Evie Pig has been in this show for exactly 1 year. 1 year. And in that time, she has somehow managed to collect more hidden details, more buried clues, and more quietly suspicious decisions than characters who have been in this franchise for 2 full decades. Most characters in Peppa Pig just exist. They show up, they jump in muddy puddles, they laugh at Daddy Pig.
My tummy is very big because I eat a lot of cookies.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
And they go home.
Hey, what?
But Evie is different. From the moment she was announced, something felt carefully constructed about her. Not accidental, not random, planned. And the deeper you look at her first year, the more you start to feel like everything about this tiny pink baby was designed to mean something. So this is everything Evie Pig has been quietly hiding since the day she arrived. We are starting with something nobody has said out loud yet, which is how suspiciously perfect Evie's timing was. She did not just arrive in the show, she arrived at a very specific moment, which was right when Peppa Pig needed saving. The show had been running for over 20 years. The format had not changed, the characters had not changed, even the jokes had not changed. Daddy Pig was still being laughed at for his tummy. Madame Gazelle was still somehow running an entire school alone. The whole world of the show had become comfortable to the point of being predictable, and that is a very dangerous place for a children's franchise to sit. Then, just before the audience started drifting away, Evie appeared. A pregnancy storyline, a gender reveal, a name announcement. Suddenly, people who had not watched Peppa Pig in years were talking about it again. That is not a coincidence. That is a baby being used as a narrative reset button, and it worked almost perfectly. Now here is something that has been hiding in plain sight since the very first episode Evie appeared in. And it has to do with how the rest of the family behaved the moment she arrived. Watch Peppa carefully in those early scenes. She is loud, she is enthusiastic, she immediately tries to make the situation about herself, which is completely normal because that is just Peppa. But George is the one worth watching. George stands slightly to the side. He does not really know what to do with a baby. He is used to being the smallest one in the room, the one who needs help, the one people speak softly to. And now there is someone even smaller, and everyone is looking at her instead. George does not throw a tantrum. He does not cry. He just quietly becomes something he has never been before, which is a big brother. That is a genuinely emotional shift for a character who has existed in one single role his entire life, and the show barely pauses to acknowledge it. George losing his place as the baby of the family is one of the most understated moments in Peppa Pig history, and Evie caused it without making a single sound. Let us talk about the heart birthmark, because it is doing far more work than people have given it credit for. On the surface, it is a cute visual detail. A little heart on the cheek of a tiny baby pig. Sweet. Simple. Moving on. Except you cannot move on. Because once you start thinking about it, you realize that Evie is the only character in this entire show who has a permanent marking on her face that is not just her design. Peppa has her red dress. George has his blue outfit. But those are clothes. They can technically be changed. Evie's heart is on her skin. It is not a costume. It is part of her, which means the show has permanently branded this baby with a symbol before she is even old enough to understand what symbols are. That is a very deliberate creative decision. It makes her instantly recognizable from any distance, in any scene, at any age. But there is also a theory that the heart is not just visual shorthand. Some fans believe it is a personality signal, a hint that Evie will grow up to be the emotionally sensitive one, the peacemaker, the sibling who feels things deeply while Peppa charges forward and George clutches his dinosaur. If that theory is right, the show told us exactly who Evie is going to be before she said a single word. Here is a detail from Evie's first year that almost nobody noticed because it happened so quietly. In several of the early episodes featuring Evie, the camera lingers on her face for just slightly longer than it needs to. Not dramatically, not obviously, just a beat longer than normal. And in children's television, those small directorial choices are never accidental. When a camera holds on a character, it is inviting the audience to look closely, to notice something, to feel something. Those extra half seconds on Evie's face were the show saying, "This one matters." Pay attention to this one. It is the kind of subtle storytelling that works on adults, even when children do not consciously register it. Parents watching with their kids felt something pull them toward Evie without quite knowing why. That is craft. That is a production team doing something intentional with very small tools. And it worked. Now we need to talk about what Evie's existence does to the timeline, because this is the biggest structural problem she creates for the entire show, and nobody seems particularly worried about it yet. Peppa Pig has famously ignored the passage of time for its entire run. Peppa is 4. She has been 4 since 2004. She will apparently be 4 forever. George is the same. The grandparents are the same. Even Madame Gazelle, who looks like she may have personally witnessed the invention of the alphabet, has not aged a single day. The whole show runs on a kind of comfortable timelessness. Nothing changes. Tomorrow is exactly like today. Then Evie arrives, and here is the problem. Babies grow. Babies grow visibly, rapidly, and undeniably. You cannot have a baby character sit in the same developmental stage for 20 years the way you can freeze a 4-year-old. People will notice. Parents will notice. Children will notice. So if Evie grows, the show has to grow with her. And if the show grows, time has to move. And if time moves, George might age. If George ages, Peppa ages. The entire frozen kingdom of Peppa Pig starts thawing from the bottom up, and it all starts with one very small baby in a green jumpsuit who cannot even walk yet. Let us talk about the green jumpsuit itself, because the color choice is interesting in a way that feels too specific to be random. In this show, color is identity. Red is Peppa. Full stop. Blue is George. Those associations are so strong that merchandise designers do not even need to put a name on the product. You see the color, you know the character. Green has never been a main Pig family color. It sits unclaimed in the Pig family palette. And then Evie arrives wearing it. She has not been given pink, which would be the obvious default for a new baby girl character. She has not been given yellow or orange or any color that might be seen as secondary. She has been given green, which is growth, which is new life, which is the color you use when you want to say something is just beginning. Whether that was intentional symbolism or just a design team picking something that had not been used yet, the effect is the same. Evie walks into this show with her own lane, her own color, and her own visual identity that belongs to no one else. There is one more thing hiding in Evie's first year that sits underneath all the other details, and it is the biggest one. It is the question of what the show is actually preparing for. Think about everything that has happened around Evie since she arrived. A new head writer was brought in specifically because of her, which means the entire creative direction of the show shifted to accommodate one character who cannot yet speak. Her birth was announced by a royal herald in full ceremonial dress on live television, which is not how you announce a cartoon baby. That is how you introduce someone important. She was born at the same hospital wing as actual British royalty. The Queen in Peppa's world has no heirs, and the show has never addressed what happens next. And Evie arrived with a name that means life, given to her in tribute to a family member who is no longer here, which is the first time death has ever been acknowledged in a show that has spent 20 years pretending it does not exist. Every single one of those details is pointing in the same direction. Evie is not just a new character. She is a successor. She is being set up, slowly and carefully, to eventually carry this show in a way that Peppa never had to, because Peppa was always the beginning. Evie might be the continuation. Evie Pig has been here for 1 year. She cannot walk. She cannot talk. She has appeared in a handful of episodes and spent most of them being cradled, cooed at, and occasionally startled by Peppa's volume levels. And yet she has already hidden more inside her first 12 months than most characters manage across an entire career. Her name carries grief and life in the same breath. Her birthmark tells you who she will be before she knows herself. Her color signals a future the show is quietly building toward. Her arrival broke George's identity in the most gentle way possible, and her very existence threatens to unfreeze a timeline that has been standing perfectly still for over 2 decades. That is an enormous amount of weight for something that still needs to be burped. So the question is not what Evie has been hiding. The question is how much more she is hiding that we have not found yet. Because if her first year is this full, her second year is going to be something else entirely. Which detail from today surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments below. And if you want more hidden details from the world of Peppa Pig, go check out our other videos. There is plenty more where this came from.